last week I said that I was going to do a kind of weekly recap of the new Once Upon a Time episodes, and I decided that I was actually going to follow through with that. So here we are, this is episode 414, the second one since the winter hiatus, and yeah, let's just have a chat about it. So at the end of episode 13 we saw Snow and Charming sort of falling apart at the fact that the Queens of Darkness had arrived in Storybrooke. We realised that there was some sort of secret that they were holding on to that we didn't know about, and that's really mainly what this new episode was all about. It was a very Snow and Charming centric episode, which I enjoyed because we haven't had something like that for a while. I feel like, I've said this before, I feel like the first kind of half of season 4 we maybe kind of neglected them a little bit and we didn't maybe spend quite as much time with them as we had done up until that point. I don't think that that's massively problematic because, let's be honest, the first couple of seasons were very much built around them and their past and, you know, Emma finding out more about them and whatever, but I do feel like this season we haven't seen a massive amount of them, so I did like that it was focused quite heavily on them. What we discover is that back in the Enchanted Forest, the Queens of Darkness approached Snow and Charming and asked them for help in putting a stop to Regina's curse. The Queens of Darkness had discovered this tree which would give answers to two people who were truly heroes, so they went and found Snow and Charming, naturally two of the biggest heroes in the show, and asked them to work with them basically to put a stop to Regina. When they finally got to this tree though, after a whole lot of toing and froing and double crossing, they eventually reached it, and when they tried to get the answers from the tree they found that they were rejected. Maleficent revealed to them that Snow was in fact pregnant. This was when she discovered she was pregnant with Emma, and pointed out that perhaps the reason that they weren't getting the answers that they were looking for was that their child was not exactly a hero. What we then discover is that much as though Emma has this great potential for being a saviour and a great potential for being a hero, there was in fact a part of her that was very much pulled towards the dark side. Snow and Charming in an absolute panic have then gone on to do something. We don't know what it was, but they've gone on to do something that will ensure that their daughter became the hero that she is, or the saviour. Maleficent, however, was also pregnant, and in whatever it was that Snow and Charming ended up doing, it did result in Maleficent losing her child. Therefore, she's not their biggest fan. She's got some issues, and really what we can see from now on is that she's going to stop at absolutely nothing to get them back. Speaking of Maleficent, she was obviously dead, or, you know, charred into a pile of ashes underground, and in this episode we have seen Cruella and Ursula and Rumpel working together to bring her back from the dead. So she is well and truly back in Storybrooke, and it's a bit of an anxious time for everyone involved. Other than that, a few things that happened in this episode. We only had a couple of Emma killing scenes, which, you know, slightly disappointed about, but it's alright. The scenes between them were really kind of focused on the fact that Killian and Ursula know each other from the past, and Emma wants to know why. They bumped into them outside of Granny's or just out in the street, and Ursula kind of said hello in a way that suggested that they have a bit of a history. Emma wants to know why, and Hook is very much holding that back. Initially, Emma's instinct is to say, why on earth are you holding this back from me? Are you genuinely not going to tell me what's going on here? And she gets quite upset and defensive. However, a little bit later in the episode, when Snow and Charming are off on their wild goose chase trying to stop them getting Maleficent back, and when Emma catches them sneaking off to go and do this, they string her this story about the fact that they're going hiking and, oh, you know, they're off to kind of, you know, just spend some quality time together. And when she says, hang on, I thought that you were obsessed with stopping these villains, what's happened, why have you suddenly changed your mind? And Snow kind of strings her this story saying, we've, you know, given other people the opportunity to change, people can change, and as heroes it's important that, you know, we look for the best in people. And Emma's kind of initial instinct is what, but I think the more that she thinks about it, she then thinks, okay, I'm now with Killian, we are together, and I have to give him the benefit of the doubt. So later in the episode, when he kind of comes back to see her and check in, she basically just says, look, I'm choosing to see the best in you, you're choosing to see the best in me, that's how we've got to do this, so I trust that you will tell me about Ursula in your own time, which is quite nice, I like that. I think that this is an interesting kind of turn of events for the rest of the season. Obviously having these Queens of Darkness here was going to be exciting, I was excited about it, but having seen the kind of promos and trailers and stuff, I did wonder how they were going to bring in the whole Emma going to the dark side kind of element. But I think what they've done very cleverly is not only built in the idea that Emma has this potential for darkness, obviously in her past she's had some dark times in her past anyway, but having this potential for darkness that's apparently been in her since before she was born, and then pairing that with the idea that both her parents and her boyfriend have dark secrets from their past that she doesn't know about, I think all colliding together is going to prove for some entertaining television. One other thing about this episode that was totally random and I don't understand. This is the one thing that I didn't really like about this episode, and I've spoken to a couple of people who have also been like, what? What was that? Now, I haven't watched Once Upon a Time in Wonderland. Maybe I should. I don't know if there's any hints towards this in there. But at the end of the episode, Will and Belle kissed. Now, I don't understand this. Is that just me? I genuinely don't understand why. Yes, okay, she's heartbroken. Her and Rumpel have split up. She's banished him from Storybrooke, and as far as she's concerned, he's never coming back. So the poor girl's got to move on at some point. But it's only been like 6 or 7 weeks. Like, I think between the end of the start of the hiatus and then the new episode, I think was supposed to cover like 6 weeks. And she's like dating someone else, and of all people, Will. Like, not in a bad way, because I actually really like Will and I think that the actor is brilliant and he's really funny on screen, but it just seemed really random. I couldn't really understand why she was kissing him, and I don't know. I don't know. Maybe when we see them have some actual scenes together, it might be quite cute. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. It's just the fact they didn't have any. It wasn't like earlier in the episode we saw a few kind of moments where, like, we did see him once in the episode earlier, he'd come into Granny's, but he didn't speak to anyone, and it wasn't like we had any moments where he maybe came into the library and they had a little chat, or they had, I don't know, a little flirt in Granny's, or he offered to buy her a coffee or something. There was none of that. It just was that he just appeared and kissed her. We just saw through, like, I think it was through a window we saw this at the end of the episode. So it kind of did feel like the implication was that this is a nice new romance. So I don't know, that kind of surprised me. I'm a fan of Rumpel and Belle, and I was really sad when he left, but I do completely understand why she's kind of reached the end of her tether. But I don't know, I just don't feel like she would kind of move on that quickly, and with Will it just seems a bit random, but I'm looking forward to seeing more of that, just genuinely out of interest to see what's going on. But yeah, I think that was really all that was kind of the main points of the episode. As I say, it was mainly the flashbacks were to the Enchanted Forest with Charming and Snow and the Queens of Darkness, so to figure out the connection between them. And the episode ended with Snow confiding in Regina, telling her what has happened in the past in the Enchanted Forest between them, and basically asking her for help. They have asked that Regina infiltrates the Queens of Darkness and tries to become one of them, and you know, Snow's argument is that they will believe that because Regina has been so evil in the past, that they'll believe that she'll go back to the dark side, which I like to think she won't, because Regina's made such amazing progress over the past 4 seasons that I'm like, no, she's not going to be evil again. But the trailer kind of, I think it just always likes to mess with you, but the trailer's like, oh, will she really be tempted back to the dark side? So Snow wants her to kind of infiltrate them and become part of the gang, which I think could actually be really entertaining to watch, and should provide for some interesting twists and turns in the next couple of episodes. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I really enjoyed that episode. It's just, I love watching this because I genuinely think to myself when I'm watching it, if only I could be a writer on this show. It must be so much fun to come up with this stuff. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this season so far. I hope that you are too. If you have any thoughts about this episode, let me know in the comments down below, and I will be back next week to review episode 15. But I will also be back on Sunday with my regularly scheduled video, and I will speak to you then. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye! At the moment, Cruella is my favourite, I think, because I was genuinely so intrigued about how this was going to work. I was like, what are they going to do with her? She doesn't have magical powers. Of course she does. It's Once Upon a Time. She's got to have magic.